Joining me right now is the CEO of Super Fight League, Bill Dosanjh. What's going on, man?
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's been a long 6 weeks. So we've just literally wrapped up the league. So yeah, it was good. I mean, it was a bigger platform than last year, so a bigger audience. And plus with coverage in China this year as well, which was a big breakthrough. And no, it was good. I mean, it's a great platform for the not just the Indian athletes, but global athletes, where they can come out and actually really have 3 to 5 fights, depending on how they progress during the group stages. So, which was good. I mean, look, we're doing something which has never been done before. It's basically, it just takes it back. I think when UFC kind of first began, where they used to fight like 3-4 times in one night. So here these athletes are now fighting once every week, so and our positioning is very different. We are positioning ourselves as a sports league, like most sports league athletes play every week, and that's what this is, where you can participate. I mean, look, we are even looking to push it another level where this league will go on for 12 weeks, so now you have 2 fighters in a weight category. We might stretch that to 3 fighters, so you can actually have a longer league. And then we will start our home and away model, where you'll visit all the home cities, unlike where we bring all the teams into one city for now. So yeah, I mean, look, at the end, it's always about doing something different and kind of pushing boundaries, and that's what we're here to do. Especially, it is the fastest growing sport in the world, and we're just bringing a much more structured approach to it.
You said that you're going to extend the season to 12 weeks, which is double the time of what you have right now. And you just wrapped up season 2. During that season, there was a lot of injuries. Isn't that a big worry for you if you're going to extend the season to 12 weeks with the injuries that happened in the 6-week span?
Correct. So that's what I mean. So we'll add another backup fighter in that weight category, so that would basically kind of take that problem out. So look, it's not 100%, but it's something we are looking at, because I think most leagues that go on, they do go on for like 3 months plus. So 12-week would be an ideal kind of calendar. It just gives more advantage to sponsors, to brands, and a big exposure across all sectors. So look, it's just a thought right now, but I can see us actually pulling it off. But we know this actually works, the way we're running it right now. So let's see. I mean, we could try season. It could work, and if it does, great. If it doesn't, we can always go back to the current format that we have currently. So and I feel like something like this in the summer months works really well when you don't have kind of soccer on, and I think a lot of big broadcasters actually do kind of need content in that summer months, so if you can fill a nice 3-month window, I think it's definitely an opportunity there.
The fighters, they, you contract them to come in for right now 6 weeks, and are they exclusive contracts? Because if they are exclusive, that means they only get to fight like 1 month, basically a year. Or are they allowed to go out of the league and fight for other promotions while the league is not going on?
Yeah, I mean, the contracted to obviously to fight in the league format, and some of them, like an average fighter, if you look at it, he fights 3 to 5 times maximum. So we give that kind of window to them and actually have rest of the year for them to prep for the season. So, and you can see like some of these like really kind of grinded it out, so I think, but I mean, it's an option. I mean, look, we want to give the athletes the option to go and participate in other leagues. But right now, I think India is such a growing stage. I think there's a lot of work still to be done. But like you saw, there are like 4 or 5 kids like are really kind of coming through. and which we saw like the big knockouts, which they kind of produce in during the league. So I think absolutely we are open to the idea if they do want to come to us and say, look, we've got a so there's a company called Superstars that manages these athletes. So they'll go to them and they say, look, we want to take a fight in another organization. But yeah, I mean, we're open to it. But eventually what you want to build this to is where these fighters are signed to a particular team. And then that team eventually carries them through, whether it's a 3-year contract or a 5-year contract, like we do in major kind of sports leagues, and that's our end goal, is to have a contract where these fighters actually are with the teams for a much a longer period. And look, stars are built by regular level of commercialized competition, and long as an athlete is on I'll use Sumit Kade, who actually won his 3 fights in that period. He's like a local star now. He's really kind of come through great performances. So I think that what this does, it produces stars much quickly than you would where you actually got to spend 2 years getting that 3, 4, 5 fight victory. But here you can do it in such a short span, and you get recognized very quickly. So look, we've got a strategy which we feel that is going to create more stars, much, much quicker. And that's what we're after. And ultimately, look, it's an ecosystem, isn't it? What we've got here is it's not just down to us. There are these rich individual team owners from different parts of India. I mean, the team that actually won the UP Nawab, I mean, that state is the size of America. It's got 300 million people that live in that state. So, and they're very passionate type of owners. So eventually we want to kind of have that ecosystem grow for them to bring in even bigger international talent, which would eventually kind of improve our local talent at the same time, So, so yeah, I mean, look, at the end, look, like I said, it's still early stages, but we're on the right track. We've done a league back to back, 2 seasons in the space of last 14, 15 months, and we want to grow. There's no reason why, if, like I said, if a 12-week season doesn't work, is actually have maybe 2 seasons of 6 weeks. That's another option that we've looked at as well. So yeah.
With the league and you guys partnering up with MTV, was it Fox Sports Asia? How can you kind of divulge like what kind of numbers you guys were doing? Has it boosted in season 2? Have you gotten more viewership this season?
Yeah. So we're still waiting for the numbers to come in. So obviously we were on Tencent in China as well. So I think overall the format has been really well appreciated from Fox Sports, and obviously that's why they've signed a deal with us, because it's different from any other organization what they're doing. And India, MTV is kind of India's #1 youth channel, So obviously last year we was on ESPN1. So ESPN India has a very kind of niche type of audience, and they're still kind of growing their distribution, where MTV's been around much longer and it has that reach. And the art is to kind of reach out to a different audience that doesn't belong to you today. So last year we was on the same channel as the UFC, and our numbers were actually done much better than theirs, because obviously we do live events and it's a local relevant product, which was great. But this year it was like more about, okay, let's tap another audience that doesn't belong to us today. And that's what MTV kind of gave us this year. And eventually, obviously, look, it's a sport. It needs to sit on a sporting channel. But I think a lot of these kind of other channels like MTV are looking at live sports as an option, because it's the first time ever, I think, globally, MTV has done live broadcasting of sports. So it's a big kind of initiative on their part. And we're happy to grow that association, as a much longer one. So yeah, look, at the end of the day, it's all about kind of growing your community and growing the numbers. So we were actually quite excited with this association that we had with MTV.
Is MTV satisfied with what has gone on in season 2? With the viewership, and what is their feeling like with you when you meet with MTV? Are they, shocked at like what you guys have produced?
No, absolutely. I think the key thing for a broadcaster is always a worry when they don't never do live events and suddenly they're going into live. When you're live, you got to make sure that everything is on point. There's no room for error. And obviously, I mean, you guys witness, I mean, everything went smoothly. I mean, look, we're producing 15 live telecast events in 6 weeks. There's no organization in the world that does that. In that short span, every Friday, Saturday, Sunday is live fight night. It does not happen. So, I mean, that's one. And number two is the fact that it's a product which is the right target audience for MTV. It's the youth. This is a very youthful kind of product. I mean, that's what MMA is. It's youthful, it's young, it's explosive, it's fast. And that's what it is. So, I mean, absolutely. I think, look, anything today outside of obviously the bigger promotions, you're at growth. You're always going to be growing for at least 4 or 5 years, and the key is consistent. Look, the key thing is consistent. You just got to be consistent. You got to keep giving that product consistently, and it will grow because it just has that kind of razzmatazz around the product, around the sport and around the way we built this IP around the teams, the point scoring system, the whole kind of positioning of a sports league, and obviously the glitz and glamour with the corporates, the celebrities, everything. So look, we're doing things the right way. We know it's going to be a 4 or 5 year kind of push until we start seeing the big fruit. But at the end of it, we've got like GQ magazine put it, young bucks are backing Super Fight League. These are young entrepreneurs like come from big families in India who've studied in America, understood the sport, the value of it. I mean, we've inspired one of the biggest movies in India to happen, which was one of the biggest movies that happened, that based around the sport of MMA, obviously, or the fundamentals, where the core fundamentals of MMA obviously is wrestling, and the modern era of wrestling is actually fighting MMA. So that's one thing that movie explained, which again, we inspired that to happen. So long as Bollywood's kind of pushing it and they're talking about the sport of MMA, it's great for everyone.
Season 2, it produced great fights, but it wasn't without controversy, with the reffing, and also Vince Murdock, his situation. And he's been going around, and I've also interviewed Vince, and he has been throwing allegations against the promotion, against you, against Alan Fernandez, who is part of the commission out there. Now, I wanted to ask you a few questions about him. First of all,
for sure.
The first question is, you watching his fights, do you believe that those stoppages, right, were justified?
See, look, as an athlete, if you look at it as an athlete, I mean, of course, I mean, everyone wants to go that extra round. You believe that you can do, because that's what you train for. So being around with Ame for so many years, I get exactly where he's coming from. But ultimately, you've got to look at it. There's a procedure which is in place. There's a commission, there's a referee, there's a doctor, which is outside the promotion. We don't indulge in any of that. That's what they're there to do. And if a doctor comes in and says, look, the cut is too deep for him to continue, there's nothing. I mean, obviously the referee can overrule it, possibly where he takes it on his head, but it's got nothing to do with the promotion, And even that happened, right? We gave him another opportunity, Obviously, once his stitches were out, it took 2 weeks for them to heal. Regardless of what he said, he went around, he interviewed. We said, you know what, at the end of the day, we understand emotions of a fighter. We still gave him that opportunity to go in and actually participate. So then, you want to call it misfortunate, you want to call it maybe he was looking for another point, you want to call it whatever you want to call it, But at the end of the day, when you look at that first shot, it was close to the cup. He had full 5 minutes to recover. But that second shot, I think it's very clear it was inside of the thigh. I personally think he was looking for a point, right? But the way he curled up into a ball, the referee saw it as his safety, because if the fighter was coming on top to finish it, referee would have probably stopped it, or Vince would have protected himself, and so on. So again, you know, it's hard for anyone to call it apart from the man who's inside that cage between the two. And look, in this sport, we all know fighter safety is number one, you know, and that's far as it goes. But as an athlete, of course, we always feel that we can go the extra mile. You know, it's just kind of it's built into us. But like I said, there's a person in there. And look, if he wants to come back next year, we're happy to give him another opportunity. You know, if he wants a rematch with any of the guys, we're happy to set that up. But I mean, I get emotions, you know, and I think he's still young and he's still growing in the sport, and then I think that's what he's got to put it down to.
He has made a lot of allegations, you know, about you and the promotion and the people that work for you, especially pertaining to the contract. He said that he signed a contract while he was in the States, and then when he got to India, he signed another contract. But then he's saying that that contract that he signed, the second one, is not the same contract, and he only got paid 25% of what was, you know, initially offered.
Look, he was on a 2-fight contract minimum, and he got his 2 fights. That what he got, and that's what it was. And whatever money that he was going to get in the contract one was exactly the same as contract number 2. I mean, look, at the end of look, we have a rooster in this competition, over 96 fighters that fight. I mean, he's the only one who's complaining. His own teammates that were on the same team as him. I mean, look, everyone got paid their dues. I mean, look, at the end of it, like I said, I've got 20 years worth of experience in the business. And at the end of the day, an athlete is number one of all of your kind of things that you do. An athlete must, if he's putting in the effort, he's coming in all that way, he's going to get paid, you know. So there's nothing that, all that. But like I said to you, that for us is, like I said to you, number one, you know, and that's what we make sure that any athlete that comes over, it's not that the first time we've actually inviting athletes over, you know, we've been doing this for a long time, and we've had athletes where people like Bob Sapp over, we had people like Bob Ashley over, we had all the big guys that have came over the years, you know. So I mean, it's the first time an international is coming in and kind of, but like I said, look, I get he's emotional, but I think at the end of the truth is the truth, you know. At the end of the day, it was a 2-fight contract. He got paid for his 2 fights, and he could have fought if they were going to the semi-finals and finals. He could have fought again. If he didn't have the stitches, he could have fought the second fight, you know. So I think, look, like I said, there's a big rooster that participate in this 45 days, and I think he's the only one that who's been going around and kind of saying we had to do. But look, on our side, there's no egos. Even if he wants to come in again, no problem. You know, we're more than happy to set a rematch up with either one of the guys that he felt that he's had that loss to. So, I mean, there's nothing more as an organization we can do. You know, there's a commission, there's a doctor, and there it is. You know, I think that everyone saw exactly that. I think that inside kick was very clean and fair.
He also said that you know, him losing, or him like getting disqualified, or you know, basically losing both fights, is part of the big picture. It's part of a conspiracy that you the promotion and like the stars, the owners of the teams, want certain teams to go up to the finals, and it's kind of like he's part of that. He's kind of like a casualty of that, of you guys being in cahoots, you, Alan Fernandez. How do you respond to that?
I mean, look, if you look at it in any way, shape, or form, when you look at the athletes that go and participate in watching them show, there's no one in there. Everyone is in there to win. You know, there's nothing there you can say, oh, he's going to win. This is sport of MMA. You know, anything can happen anytime. I mean, that head kick to the head with a 15, 20-second knockout. You didn't know. I mean, look at Abdul Badakshi. He was 2 rounds. Sasha Sharma was winning. Bang! That big knee came out. It turned it around. If Sasha Sharma would have won that, Bangalore Tigers would have went through, because the last 2 fights they'd won. So look, he could look. Like I said, emotional kid is going to say emotional things and silly things. But ultimately, I think we've got to look at his performance and base it on how he performed. You know, he put in a great first round. Unfortunately, he got cut. Referee saw it. Then he was looking for a point, the way I see it. He never got it, and the referee saw it differently, and that's what happened to him. But then you look at all the other fights, you know, there's no issues there. So I think, look, there's nothing of that. But of course, like in any sports league across the globe, if a team is spending more money, they normally get better results. You know, that's just a standard format across all sports league, whether it's Manchester United or Manchester City, or whether it's the Lakers or anyone. That's got nothing to do with that it's fixed or it's staged. If a team is spending more money and buying better players, of course that would have an impact on a certain team. So that's it. I mean, I don't understand like what logic is that, and especially in this sport, you know, where it's just like when you lock that cage, you know, it's just you and that person, you know. So I don't get his logic in that at all.
He also said that, you know, he talked to you a few times and you know, about his fights and the result of his fights, and he said that you would help him out, and you never came through on these promises. Is that true, or is that something that he has created?
Look, like I said, he's creating a lot of nonsense, like we've kind of experienced. But as an organization, like I said, we still gave him a second chance after all what he said, and I think there's nothing more we can do, you know. And I think he's looking for, if he's trying to make a name for himself in kind of doing what he's doing, I mean, good luck to him. But ultimately, I think the results are always kind of done on basis the way you perform inside that cage. Everything around it is just kind of either you're backing what you're saying, or you just got to kind of move on and try and get your career back online, you know.
He said that he recorded the conversations that you guys had, and he's recorded the conversations that he had with your employees. Um, is that something that worries you? Like, is that
He
legal?
should, he should, I mean, he should publish it. I mean, at the end of the day, if that's what he feels that he needs to do. I mean, of course, it's not legal. I mean, recording a conversation without someone's knowledge. But I mean, if he wants to, I mean, look, like I said, he's not a Conor McGregor. You know what I mean? That when people are going to keep listening to him. But at the end, if he feels that he's hard done by, I mean, he's got to keep expressing what he feels. You know, at the end of it, that's just the way. It's a free world. You know, anyone can say whatever they want. You know, I mean, and I'm happy for him to kind of, that's what he feels. But ultimately, every MMA fan or anyone has to judge him based on his performance. You know, that's what it is. And as an organization, he got cut. It took 2 weeks for him to heal. We gave him a second chance. And there's nothing more that what we can do. Everything else is secondary.
If you could give him some advice, because it seems like you're not really frustrated with what he's doing. You're not emotional about this, and it doesn't really bother you too much. If you could give him some advice, what would you tell him?
Come back next year, right? And we will actually get these rematches done. You know, I think the best way to always settle a score is settle it back in the ring or in the cage. You know, I think that's the way to do it. And that's the real old gladiator way to do it. You know, there's no point going talking around and actually doing it. And it would be good. You know, I think the fans would probably want to see him rectify his mistakes. And like you saw, look at the triangle. He obviously lost to the first kid who fought the Tamil Veerans. Then you had Sumit Kade beat him. Then you had a guy, I felt that Vikas Deya beat Vince in the opening round. And I feel that kick was very clear. Then that kid lost to Sumit Kade. You see that nice featherweight triangle. So I think it's a nice kind of mix for him to be mixed up in and trying to come and settle the score next year. So these are strong three guys, I feel, that in his division. And I think that's where the credit lies. You know, I think you've got to, whatever you're saying that you're a better fighter, you've trained with the best, you know, I think you've got to make that shine inside that cage. And so, yeah, I think it's a nice, interesting story there for him to come and be a part of if he wants to.
So you have an open invitation for Vince to come back, fight, compete, and get revenge basically for his losses. And
Absolutely.
if he does have any proof, you're just like, you know, let's see what you got, right? You're like, come on, bring it out there because you have nothing to hide.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, look, at the end of we're just, like I said to you, we're growing the sport. You know, we're investing into these young athletes, not just India but globally, and it's a platform for all. You know, and at the end of the day, look, we go through 96 fighters in this team format. You know, it's an opportunity for a lot of other fighters that who do want to come to India and participate and actually be a part of this ecosystem. So it's only going to grow, you know, and that's one thing that we've seen over the years as a sport in India. It's only grow, and you can see some of these athletes, you know, really kind of coming through slowly, and that just shows the kind of work that Super Fight League is doing and actually investing into these young athletes. And so yeah, I mean, look, we're excited. I mean, the format and what we're doing, and I think it's unique, it's different. It's going to create stars. We've had people that have already starred in movies, you know, and that's what it is. You know, the art is to create stars, you know, and that's what we're doing.
So what is the plan for the rest of this year? Are you going to have another season this year, or are you going to wait until next year to continue?
So we're gonna, like I said to you, one option is obviously to launch another season at the end of the year, towards like September, October time. The other option is to obviously launch a longer league for 12 weeks this time next year and plan towards that. Or if not, then just stick to this format this time next year. So we've got options open to us. But right now we are really focusing obviously on expansion of our gym business across India and bringing some of these international guys to kind of give the right coaching, what some of these athletes need right now. So that's where a lot of the focus in. So we've got like 100 gym forecasts over the next 5 years that we're opening across India with the SFL gyms, and that is kind of a big development program for us right now. So yeah, so that's where the focus is. So I think, like I said, we've got to keep going, keep putting in the hard work, and just keep growing the sport, you know. And then eventually, we are looking at other markets, especially China right now. We feel that we've captured India. We are pretty much one of one in what we're doing, and I feel that this format is actually perfectly designed, localized format for the Chinese local market, just the way we've done it in India. So yeah, I think we've got the right product for that market. And look, at the end of we go there, we capture the hearts of the local people. We sit there for 6 weeks. Unlike other organizations, they go there for a weekend and then they leave. You know, most organizations doing shows in China, the international ones, once or twice a year. We want to go there and do 15 shows the way we've done in India in a period of 6 weeks, and really localize the format with local celebrities and local corporate owners, and obviously local fighters, and obviously with each team having 3 international fighters as well. So that's what we are really focusing on as well.
So before I let you go, just to make it clear, you, Alan Fernandez, the All in India MMA Association, you guys are not in cahoots. You guys are not doing a conspiracy to ruin people's careers and to elevate certain teams so they will win. That's not happening with you guys at the Super Fight League.
Absolutely not. Like I said, before you asked me that question, I said, look, our positioning is like a major sports league. You know, we're a league, you know, and there's been a lot of hard work over the years that's gone into this to build one of the biggest ecosystems in the history of MMA. You know, there's a real ecosystem there. When you look at our corporate owners, these are billion-dollar companies, you know, that are backing this venture. And obviously the celebrities, the glitz and glamour that's attached to this are the biggest celebrities of our industry. So like there's so much riding on it, and having this kind of small hocus pocus that what people are saying is just nonsense, you know. So and we're here for the long run, you know. We really believe that at this, look, don't forget, IPL has become the 5th biggest league in the world. So normally we're always looking for IPs across from the West to bring to the East. But here you have a product which is produced in the East. And that model, we believe that in this sport is going to do really, really well. And that's, you've already seen the first blueprint of it.
All right, Bill, thank you for your time. And it's great to talk to you because everybody's just been hearing, you know, the other side of the story. So you get to say your piece and clear some things up. Thanks.
No, absolutely. I mean, all the other international guys are looking at it. I mean, at the end of the day, we're here for the long run. And at the end of the day, everyone's welcome. And if they want to reach out to us and they want to participate in that league, we're happy to look at it for sure.
All right.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.